Imagine being a young child and growing up in a house that oftentimes felt like a war zone and feeling as if you had to walk on eggshells or apologizing constantly to de-escalate situations or enduring abuse to such a degree that you've blocked out most of your childhood as a result. That was my life for 11 years. And unfortunately, I carried that trauma into relationships and repeated cycles of abuse. My name is Mullissa Caroline. I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, domestic violence, and sexual assault. This podcast is meant to empower you along your healing journey, regardless of where you may be at on that journey, and regardless of whatever has led you to heal your trauma. We all have trauma, and none of us like to talk about it. But I think the biggest step towards healing is when we can look beneath the surface of a trigger and start asking ourselves questions so that we can have an honest and open conversation. And so this podcast is just another resource for you to help you along the way. And I hope you'll stick around. Here's some things I have to say, because I think the more we are informed of the traumas and abuse that's occurring around us, the more impact we can have, and maybe the more change we can create. And maybe we can save a life. Because as sad as it may be, oftentimes abuse and trauma leads to so many other things like suicide or human trafficking. And so, like I said, I hope you'll stick around on this journey with me. Here's some things I have to say, and together I hope we can heal and hopefully create some sort of positive change in the world so we can break cycles together. Hello, and welcome back to Divinely Healed. The intro to these is like all over the place. I don't have like a standard, I guess, for intros, but this is Divinely Healed podcast. My name is Mullissa Caroline, and this episode for today, we're going to be talking about dating when you have trauma, I guess. Well, I guess really just any relationships when you have trauma. But I have recently started dating, and so someone, and there's some things that I've learned recently that I wanted to share with you. But my name is Mullissa Caroline. This is Divinely Healed, and I am a survivor of childhood abuse, sexual trauma, sexual assault, domestic violence. And I wanted to do this. This podcast is dedicated to telling my story of trauma that I've experienced, but also the healing journey that I have been on for quite a while now, and I'm still healing to this day. So I'm sharing everything that I'm learning along the way and things I've learned in the past. And so I hope you stick around. And here's some things I have to say. Today, like I said, I'm going to talk about trauma and, relationships. Because I think for us, when especially if you have experienced any sort of trauma early in life, abuse early in life, you don't know what normal or healthy looks like. You don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. And kind of the things that were modeled for us were not normal at all, not even remotely. And so it's interesting because we don't trust, as adults, the people that come into our lives, the healthy relationships that are in our lives, because we're so used to people leaving or changing their mind or just things being toxic. And so one of the things I think that was my lesson for this month, and this was recorded in August of 2022, my lesson for this month was patience, not only with myself, but with other people as well. I think it's really important that we have patience. And so I'm going to read a Facebook post, but before I get into any of that, I totally skipped over this. So it's housekeeping things. First of all, my hands are blue. You probably can't tell because I colored my hair, but I also just want to mention that Stop Sis is a nonprofit organization that I support. And if you watch my episode where I recap the retreat that I was on, they are actually the ones that are behind that, as well as the 90-day U-Turn Survivors cohort class that I took, which was an amazing experience all around. The whole entire thing was well worth it, and I highly recommend. So everything will be linked down below if you're interested in taking the class or checking out Stop Sis and their podcast, as well as Rachel's book. And if you are also interested in sponsoring a survivor, that's a way that you can also give back as well. It helps a survivor get into a class and the retreat, and it's amazing. It's a really great way to show support for a survivor. All that'll be linked down below. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please don't forget to leave a rating. It's a free way you can help me out. If you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if it resonated with you, as well as hit the subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss any episodes. I think I'm on most of the platforms for podcasts, including Spotify. I'm not sure if I am on Apple yet, but I have submitted for them. But I am most places where you listen to podcasts, or you can just come over to YouTube and watch me here. And then I do have a Patreon as well, where you can watch or listen to content, exclusive content, as well as any episodes before they air, a week prior to them airing live. And then I also, if you want to be friends, I have a Facebook and an Instagram that is linked down below as well. And so you can come follow me over there. There's a lot of content around healing on those platforms as well. So how many times I can say as well. So I want to talk about relationships, specifically dating, but I mean, this could really apply to anything. And I'm going to read a post that I made, and I'm in the future probably going to have some sort of document where you guys can like ask questions and stuff. I just haven't figured out the logistics of that, but let me read what I wrote. So we have to not only be patient with ourselves, but also be patient with others. As trauma survivors, we are so used to surviving and protecting ourselves that oftentimes we jump to conclusions and conclusions on a situation and make a choice based in fear. And this is how you push good people away. Now, I'm learning that in order to make more rational decisions, I need to pause and reflect before responding. So instead of like reacting, it's responding, because I'm so used to being like reactive to a situation. Instead of reacting, which was a default program, because it's kind of what I grew up with. I was always in constant survival mode. You cannot project the past onto another person. Learn to control the controllable. You cannot control other people and their actions. Also, not everything is about you or is someone trying to do something to you, as so often we tend to think as trauma survivors of abuse. People have lives. Reacting is a fear response. Your brain believes you are under attack and you need to run. So you do. From relationships, from people that genuinely care about you. You reject the good things because you don't think you deserve them. You don't know what good and healthy feels like, so you don't trust it. It's baby steps, one day at a time. Be gentle and give yourself grace. We all make mistakes, but it only remains a mistake if you don't choose to see the lesson. Have more patience with yourself and others. People may just surprise you in a good way. Learn to trust the good people in your life one day at a time. You're still growing. It's okay that you mess up. It's what you do next that determines how you grow and evolve. Reacting is staying the same. It's staying in that fearful mindset. Taking time to pause and reflect and then responding is maturing and growing. This was a lesson for me this month, and I hope it helps you too. If you know someone that is a trauma survivor, please have patience with us. We're still trying to be better. We're still healing past trauma, and it's not an excuse. I'm just offering you another perspective. And so that was one of the things that I don't know, just came to me one night during the retreat that I was on, because I really do think that we just don't trust it. We get something good in our life, and I'm not talking about toxic. I'm talking about like genuine people that actually care about you. And we tend to think that it's like a game or something. At least for me, I usually my brain is so used to someone kind of trying to pull the wool over my eyes, or play me, or play with my feelings, and eventually I find out that they actually don't care about me and they're just using me, and then I find out, all these terrible things. And so when you get something good and healthy in your life, you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's something I talked to my friend about the other day, and we're so used to bad, because that's what seems like normal, because of the relationships that were modeled to us as children and the things that we saw on TV, because my mom used to set me in front of the television. And this is one of the things that I learned in the class that I took, was that, and that was my favorite part of the entire class, because one of the things that I figured out was not only the relationships that were being modeled by my mom and my stepdad's relationship dynamic was toxic, but also later at age like 12 and 13, seeing my aunt and my uncle's relationship dynamic and how abusive it was, and thinking that was normal. And then the things that I was seeing on television, American television, especially, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when it was watching stuff like The Simpsons or Married with Children, and my mom letting me watch talk shows and like, Jerry Springer and all this and just all this stuff, all these shows that were just terrible things for a young kid to be watching. And no offense to my mom, she did the best she could with what she had, and I'm grateful. But there was some programming that happened during that time that I unraveled during this 90-day U-turn survivors cohort of, programming is what I call it, but it's basically just learned behavior. I learned from the adults around me and the things I saw on television, and I believe that was how relationships worked. And so what was scary for me is when I finally encountered a healthy person that actually wanted to have a healthy relationship with me, and I pushed them away because I don't trust it, because it's not what I'm used to. It's not normal to me. And so what I learned during the retreat was not to do that, to have more patience with people, and and another thing that we are so used to is thinking that everything is about us, because we grow up in a house where it was almost like we had to have like this antenna, if you will, figuratively speaking, an antenna for gauging the emotional energy, if you will, of that house, and trying to either de-escalate any sort of high emotions, or kind of just blending or trying to just be in the house without causing more problems. We were taught from a young age to be fixers and people pleasers, and we're so used to trying to please them and keep people happy, that when someone is actually that actually just cares about us and doesn't expect anything, it's weird for us. And it's like a whole other, it's a dynamic that we're not used to. We're not used to someone actually caring about what we think and how we feel. We're used to always just caring about other people and taking care of other people. And so when someone tries to take care of you, you think there's something wrong with them. You don't trust it. And that's, I'm just here to tell you that that's normal, and it's okay to let someone take care of you. And not everyone is on some sort of secret mission to destroy you, which is so often what I think we sometimes think. We think people are out to get us, and it's not true. And some people, yeah, there are some bad people out there. Okay. I don't have rose tinted glasses. Okay. The world is kind of crazy, but I'm just saying there are good people. There are people that actually care about you, that actually want the best things for you and actually want to take care of you. And they do mean it. And it takes a long time for you to trust that. So just be kind with yourself, be gentle with yourself. And before reacting to anything, and if you feel yourself, and I've talked about dysregulation in another podcast episode, but dysregulation is basically when you start to feel any sort of type of heightened emotional response that is not typical, like not a typical response to a situation, which is something that I struggle with. This recently actually happened to me with the person that I'm currently talking to. And I overreacted. I assumed so many things that were not true, and tried to push this person away, and they didn't go away. He just kind of just was like, he just stayed. So, and I'm not saying, do these things, and because it's toxic, and I know that. I know it's bad, and I'm trying to be a better person, and and trying to make better choices. So what I've learned is to pause and realize that not everything is about you. People have lives, people are busy, and to be more patient with yourself and with others, and stop and think, and the thoughts and negative, they call in the retreat, Denise calls it stinking thinking, which is makes me laugh every time, but it's true. It's like a monkey mindset. It's basically you're thinking about things that aren't even happening. You've created these because you're so used to surviving, right? You're so used to having to be in survival mode. So we create these scenarios in our head of things that aren't actually happening. So my best advice would be to, before you send a text message, in my case, and react, maybe pause and reflect on what is actually happening, the information that you actually have, and don't project past experiences onto someone either, because all of that is fear. It's coming from a place of fear because we're used to surviving. It's not an excuse. I'm just trying to explain to you why you're reacting, because I do it. And so I'm very lucky to have the people that I do still have in my life that are understanding of that I'm trying to be better, and that are willing to stick around, because not everyone is willing to stick around for that. But the people that are, I'm very grateful for. And I think we just have to, just give yourself grace. You're healing trauma. You're healing some things that people did to you that were really messed up. But try to do what I'm telling you, what I'm saying. Tried to combine a word there. Tried to say telling and saying at the same time. Anyways, so be kind with yourself. Give yourself grace. Before you react, take time to pause and think about what is actually happening, what information is actually true, what is actually there. Don't rely completely on scenarios that you have developed and created in your head, because oftentimes those are coming from a place of fear, and they're not actually. Ask yourself, is that actually happening right now? Like, do you have evidence that is actually what is happening? And if you don't, then pause, reflect, and then sometimes you don't even need to respond, is the thing. You don't have to do anything. You're just processing your feelings. And that's something I had to learn because no one taught me that. And so as you're healing trauma, you're reparenting yourself, because you're teaching yourself how to love yourself, but you're also teaching yourself how to process your emotions in a healthy way. you're reparenting yourself. You're teaching yourself all the things that you were not given as a child. And so one of the other things that I learned to ask myself, because we all have an inner child, right? An inner child that did not get the things that they needed at different ages. And so you can do this in a meditation, or you can write letters to yourself, and you can do this with different versions of your past self, because we did this at the retreat. So yeah, when you're age 7, age 9, 14, whatever it is, having this like kind of a conversation with your inner child and asking them what they need, and then you being the person to give that to yourself, instead of relying on someone outside of you to do that, because that's not their job. It's nobody's job outside of you to give you the things like love and to feel safe and things like that. It's not their, I mean, if they make you feel safe, that's great. But I'm just saying, like, it's not, it starts with you. You have to cultivate that within you, and your inner world, your outer world is going to be a reflection of your inner world. Okay. So that's why it's important to work on those things internally. And so something that I really worked on. And I think at the end of the day, it's, for me, it's feeling safe and secure with someone. And if I don't feel safe with you, I withdraw, or I try to push you away. And the thing I realized is that it's my responsibility to make sure I feel safe, and to process my emotions and those things like that. And I'm not, if it's a toxic relationship, do not entertain that at all. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when we spin out and we create scenarios that are things that aren't actually even happening, that this person has never even done. And we're just spinning out and losing control of our emotions. And so what I started doing was asking myself, what do I need right now? And then giving it to myself. But another thing I do is I repeat affirmations to myself. And affirmations can be anything you want them to be, but I will share what I say when I'm feeling emotionally dysregulated, like just out of control. And I can't like process whatever it is. So I will say, I am safe, and I am loved, and I would say things like what I did the other day when I had someone that was mean to me. I mean, you can do this when you experience any sort of mean things said to you. My my living situation is quite complicated right now, and it should be changing soon, but unfortunately I do have to share my apartment with my ex, and my ex can be difficult to handle sometimes. And I don't like to talk about these things because I feel like I shouldn't be talking about some of these things, but at the same time, maybe you need to hear them. And so sometimes he can be very mean and say things that I know aren't true. But when you grow up in an abusive house and you've had mean things said to you, I've been called everything. I've had everything said to me that you could possibly say to human being. I've been talked down to. I've been made to feel less than dirt, less than worthy of existing or taking up space. So I know what that feels like. And so if you're experiencing that, I just want to offer you this information. So he said something really mean to me. He called me obnoxious. And I know it's not true because I talked to my friend about this the other day, and even she said, you're the last person that I would ever think was obnoxious. But when someone's in that moment says it to you, it's hard to move past it. And it's not true. So what I did was I cried for a little bit in my car because I think I just didn't understand. I mean, I've done so much for this person, and I don't call them names, and I'm not mean to them. And why are they being mean to me? And I don't deserve this. And then, like, while I'm crying, I started saying these affirmations to myself. I am beautiful. I am loved. I am worthy of taking up space in this world. And I am kind, and I am safe, and I am not obnoxious, which is not a good affirmation because you're not supposed to use not, but I said that. I said, I am not obnoxious. I am kind and good. And so I think it's important to practice affirmations, because sometimes we call friends and we call people, and I think it's great to vent to people, but oftentimes the best source of love is internal within ourselves. And you can give that to yourself through affirmations and repeating them every single day. And even during moments like that has been super helpful for me. So I hope that helps you. It's not a cure-all. There is no cure-all for anything. It's constantly practicing these things. And then I wouldn't say it gets easier, but I don't know what other word to use. You get better. But you're going to always constantly be healing. It's a journey with no finish line. So I hope that helps. I don't know how long this episode was, but just be patient. Be patient with yourself and others. Not everything is about you. Not everyone is trying to get you. Not everyone is out to get you, and not everything is about you. And not everyone is a manifestation of past people. Stop projecting stuff onto new people that are good people, healthy people, and give people a chance to show you who they are, because oftentimes we try to judge a person before they've even had a chance to even show us who they are. And we're so scared to let them show us who they are because we think we just know, right? We think we just know based on past experiences, but I'm here to tell you that sometimes people will surprise you, which is what happened to me recently. And I'm surprised this person is still, he's still there. So I'm very grateful for those people. And I hope that made sense. I hope that helped. It was kind of scattered, but try to find some. You can Google affirmations. Try to find some. There's an app called I Am, is what I like to use, because it pops up with the affirmations on my screen, and I say them out loud, even in public places. I don't care if people think I'm crazy. It's important. And at first I didn't like doing that, but now I do it, and people are just like, but it's for me, and they help. And it's not a cure-all, but it's a good place for you to start, and I hope it helps. Download the app. It's really good. Or you can also follow me over on Facebook, because I post affirmations every single day on my Facebook at 5 a.m. Pacific time. You'll get an affirmation from me. I try to post those consistently every single day. Otherwise, get the app that I mentioned, or find some other way that works for you to get those affirmations and start saying them to yourself every single day. And it's a good place to start. It's where I started when I started my journey years ago. So hope that helps. Hope you're having a good day. Thanks so much for watching or listening all the way to the end. And if this resonated with you, please leave a comment down below. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, make good choices, stay safe, or I'll see you in the next podcast episode. I'm trying to get better at saying that. Make good choices, stay safe, always be kind to yourself and to others, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.